What's up? Welcome back to Inkvested. My name is Tango. I'm one of the artists here, and we got Alex, my apprentice.
What's up, guys?
And today we're gonna talk about stenciling and outlining. So let's go. So on today's project, I have a water dragon, a koi fish, and a Filipino star. For this project, I'm doing a 3/4 sleeve. How often do people do 3/4 sleeve? I think if I had 100 bookings, 3/4 sleeve would only be like 10-15%.
Out of the people that do it, how many of them end up extending it?
Almost 90% extend.
Okay.
Like literally a week after.
So in this one, we're doing water dragon.
Yeah, so
This is the first one that I've seen.
I don't do a lot of water dragon because most people that actually do water dragon actually do a dragon koi. So it's a koi fish with a dragon head. But for this piece, it's actually a full dragon with flippers. So right now, this is just a dragon, and if you look at towards the rear cheek whisker, it's kind of fins coming out. But look at the way I apply the stencils. You know what I mean? Gentle, it's in position, and it's something about peeling the stencil off and seeing a transfer. It's like super clean. And that's the fin. One thing about stenciling is make sure your sizing is perfect. Like if you looked at the chest, the art is like 70 to 90% of the whole chest. So it's not too small. Leaves very little background. Enough for like a cherry blossom, maybe some waves or some cloud going through it. And that's really all I need. Like you want the chest of the piece on the chest to be big. If you made the dragon head small, that means you gotta fill more background. But as a new artist, what is harder? To follow a dragon outline or create your own background? Bigger pieces, less background, easier to flow. And that's what I do it, and it actually looks really good. Now that the dragon head and body, the upper body is on, I'm connecting the second part of the body. You can't just draw it all on paper and expect it to fit really nice. I have done that in my beginning stages. It's really hard to wrap the arm or fill the space if it's just all drawn on a stencil. So I find out later, a couple years later, that like just draw it out the way you want it to look and start cutting it down like this. I have to make custom bends to it just to fill his body the way that I want, just to drag that neck all the way to the top of the shoulder blade, right? That would be pretty cool, right? Shirt off, dragon body, dragon shoulder blade on your shoulder blade, right? That's, you get the idea.
Yeah.
And there goes the other fin. Fin or flipper? No, flipper's for whales,
Fin.
huh? Fin?
I think it's fin.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Leave a comment.
Flippers or fin? I don't know. I know they just swim. I'm trying to figure out where to put this sun. I'm really happy with the upper arm already. And now we're trying to figure out like, where should I put this to make it flow? Talk to your client. You see me noticing me, like we're like talking back and forth to each other, like, where do you want this? And he's like, I don't know. Where do you want this? I'm like, I don't know. Where should we put it? So I decided to put it here. I figured, okay, the Filipino sun right at the bicep, very fucking dominant, you know what I mean? And then still trying to figure out where to put the koi because, look, it's a 3/4 sleeve. Now, I have to put everything towards the bend, and it's not fitting right. I'm like, the koi fish in the inner arm is not gonna work out. So I decided to put the koi fish on the outer arm, and boom, look at that. Fish swims right, dragon swerves left. You know what I mean? Dramatic.
More flowy.
Yeah. For the inside bicep, people used to tattoo all the way up literally to the inner pits. Over the years, I have like dropped it a little lower and lower, and sometimes I just leave it open. because that part is painful, and most of the time no one sees it. So in my eyes, I'm like, if I can save you like maybe 2 hours of pain and save you 2 hours,
Money, yes.
why not? I'm just gonna leave it a little bit more open. But some people do come back and get it filled?
Yeah.
But sometimes they need that extra healing process, and then they come back and they're like, oh, I really want this, and it's like a little charm area for them later down the line.
Shout out to Tyler for watching the videos and supporting us. He mentioned that he watched previous videos, and now he's finally in a video. So if you guys want to book a tattoo appointment, you guys might get a custom video too.
What's cool that like about me vlogging and I'm tattooing my client, if they had a business, just talk about the business. That's what I kind of like, you know what I mean? I always ask all the new clients like where they from, what they do. We got smarter from talking to everyone in different industry. You kind of get the gist of how the world outside of your bubble works, you know what I mean? And they all here for you because of the art. They appreciate your art, and that's why they booked you.
And they come from different places too.
Yeah, Tyler is from Alabama.
Yeah, he flew all the way from Alabama.
Airbnbs, freaking spend the week here. But thank you, Tyler. Good stuff, bro. And it was cool too because Tyler watches the vlog. So when he arrived, I'm like, hey, do you watch the vlog? He's like, hell yeah, I caught up to it. Now, like, if someone watches the vlog, it makes it easier to film the session, right?
They know what to expect.
They know what to expect, and they watch it and they enjoy it, and it just makes it easier. Because if I had a client that didn't watch the vlog, and then I am trying to explain to them during the session about filming, it's kind of shocking because now they're expecting a tattoo and now they got to be on camera. You get it? It's kind of like put pressure on them. So I usually try to film clients that have watched my vlog before they got the session, so it's easier. Like if they yes or no question, do you want to be on the vlog or you don't? And some say I don't care. Some says sure, but I don't want my face on it, which is respectable. But if they don't want their face on it, let's just not do it. But you get it? That's kind of like a hint to you that like they're down, but you got to try hard not to get their face. So sometimes it's just better not to film. Not unless that project is badass. Then we're like, yo, you know what I mean? I got to learn.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. One thing about like this style of sleeve is I feel like background is very important. It just makes the piece tie in together and it flows and it breathes with the body. And for you, Alex, you're new to tattooing, just focus on the background. Look at that. Once again, always starting from the bottom of the sleeve and working your way up. And this new camera view is legit. You guys like this new camera angle? Jeez. All right, let's talk about outlining. Do I put a lot of pressure down when I outline? If you guys look closer, just look at how my needle just floats on top. Lay my needle down into the skin and I find that right depth, and my hand stays at that depth the whole time.
Also, what I noticed is you use use your pinky finger and your ring finger as like a stand almost.
Yep.
Like, so what I was doing before was kind of holding it like a pencil.
Yeah, that's
So,
why
like,
you get
this-
shaky.
Yeah, this part was kind of like resting, or I don't know. But I started using this, and like you can pivot a little bit more.
Yeah, I started off a bit weird too. It took me like a year or two to adjust, and once I found my my hand position, it was game over, bro. And you know, you're learning from me right now. I think my best advice is do everything I do, and once you understand everything, do it the way you want to. But in the beginning, my hand lines are nice, smooth and all this because maybe it's my posture and how I hold it. So it's really beneficial for you to duplicate my posture and the way I move.
Do you remember what volts you're at for this?
Honestly, when it comes down to the machine, this is a liner from Bishop, so it's about a 5-stroke. I run it around 6'4", 6'6", to even 5'8". I don't remember, but if you focus on numbers, you will never calibrate it to feelings. For tattoo, it's all about feelings. How the machine and the needle vibrates in your hand, what determines your voltage and your hand speed and your pressure. Like say right now, if you gave me any volt, I can probably still tattoo. It's just because I understand the feeling of outlining, and it's not the voltage. Someday I just grab the machine, I start outlining, and I don't look at the voltage, and the first line turned out so clean. I continued it and I didn't focus on the voltage. And then halfway through, I'm like, holy shit, I usually run at 6'4". I was only at 5'2". And it just felt good. And 5'2" got me through half the sleeve. And I'm like, damn. Maybe running slower gave me time to relax, and I had nice speed. Because sometimes when you run the voltage too high, it just feels like now your hand got to race with the outlining. You're racing to the end point with the speed of the needle. When you understand the feeling of it, you just pull it, and if it's too slow, when I feel like the machine's too slow, I can go a little bit slower and a slight deeper, and it'll give me that same thickness. But when a machine is running fast, I have to speed up to keep that line. And sometimes if you're racing the line the whole session, guess what happens?
It doesn't come out as clean?
No, you get anxiety through the whole fucking session, because if it's a 1-inch pull and the moment you drop your needle, you gotta go ooh, same speed pretty fast, and then reach the end point. You're like holding your breath, you're pulling, right? You get what I'm saying? Like you feel like you're racing to point A to point B the whole session. Now that once you find the speed, you can pull and then kind of calm down and pull, but then your motion is so smooth, it just does the job. So if you just look at me outline, look at my pull, same speed, same depth, all the way through for that area. Because sometimes you go to the elbow, you might have to like make the needle a little longer, you might want to slow down, you might want to speed up. So I'm really adjusting through the whole session. Like say this flat spot right there feels good, and then the moment I just moved, if this is in the middle of the bend of the arm, so
you gotta stretch it out a little bit more.
You gotta go a little slower, you gotta stretch out a little bit more, you gotta just adjust, and that's what makes you better over the years. Also shout out to Raph for editing this video. I didn't touch this video. Raph basically edited it, and there are some areas I'm like, oh, I could cut it a little shorter. But then talking to Alex this morning, I was like, maybe that time that you trim gives you not enough time to talk. So we're like, you know what? Let's just sit down right now and do our voiceover. But check out the waves. I love waves. But can I tell you guys something? I almost quit tattooing 3 times in my career.
Only
because
3.
I hated waves. In the beginning, waves are difficult. They have no rules, they have no structure, and they just, how you feel is how it turns out at the moment. You get what I'm saying? And I'm so happy that like I can be able to do wave consistently and to my liking. And once you figure that out, life is just much better. These straight line on this Filipino sun, straight lines are kind of hard to do. I mean, it looks easy me doing it because I have good line pulls.
Yeah.
And I'm already confident. But these straight lines, look at that. You do straight lines and more straight lines and more straight lines. In your head, you're like, I hope this stays straight by the time I finish. All right, so there's 2, if you ask me right now, what are the 2 subjects that you love to tattoo and you don't mind doing it forever? I would say koi fish and dragons. That's my
Okay.
two favorite. The storyline is, you know, the koi fish swims upriver, passes the dragon gates, and becomes a dragon. And I like the koi fish. I like to go fishing. I just generally like fish. And then, you know, as the koi fish swims upriver, I see it as like a salmon. A salmon goes upriver to spawn, and it, as it swims up, the salmon face does morph to like a little crazy animal. You know what I mean? We'll drop the picture of a baby salmon into a normal salmon, and it goes to becoming a full spawn out, like ready to spawn salmon, and they change, and they do their thing and die. And the crazy thing was about the salmon is, you know, when it swims up streams, all the redwood trees along the river, scientists would drill holes and get the core sample of the tree, and they can tell which year of the rings had the most salmon that came through. Do you get it now?
Yeah.
Just imagine millions of salmon went upstreams, and when they die, their carcass erodes into the soil,
Yeah.
and the nutrient of the salmon is what make these redwood grow thick or thin for that year. So yeah, I was watching all this documentary, and it's just like saying, all right, let's find out at this area, this giant tree, the biggest tree around, let's drill a core sample and find out which year was the best salmon year. And as you can tell, maybe the inner rings and maybe the middle and back in the days had more salmon, because we didn't build dams,
Yeah.
we didn't disrupt the system. But now all these dams and all this stuff, it's kind of hard for a fish to swim upstream.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because all the salmon and stuff, they all farm now. They don't farm, but as it swims up streams, the scientists and the people that works in that system, they just grab the female and the male, and they kind of like do a manual, and then they house the eggs right by the river, and when they grow to a certain age, they release it. So they basically helped it by, instead of letting them spawn by themselves,
They plant.
they just
Yeah.
basically grab the male and female and just do the eggs and then slowly release it. Because one thing about is, if they took the salmon and did the eggs and put it in a different river, that salmon's not going to go back to the original river. It starts off, it goes back to the river it was born. For some reason it knows. So where it goes, because there's this one big fail that happened in Santa Cruz. I think I don't know too much about it, but I remember hearing like other fishermen talk about it, where they say they release a bunch of baby salmon at the Santa Cruz harbor, and they swam to the ocean. And guess what happens when they're ready to spawn? They swam back to the harbor, and they're all stuck there because they don't know how to get upriver. Because I don't know how they, as a fry, remember the river you grew up in and swim 100 miles, like a 50 to 100 miles back home to
Yeah.
spawn. It's freaking animal stuff, man. It's crazy. But yeah, I love salmon. I suck at catching salmon. I never catch it when I fish for them. I only catch it when I go for striped bass. Because they bite the lure. Yeah, I only catch it by accident. But the crazy thing about my luck is I catch fish that I shouldn't be catching. Like if I went out for striped bass, I'll catch a salmon. If I went out for a largemouth bass at the pond, I'll catch a carp. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm that guy that catches so random, and that why this water dragon and the whole concept of the koi fish swimming up, once it passed the gates, it becomes a dragon. But for me, once I pass the gate, I catch some random ass fish.